Hi guys, today we are going to talk about how to write equations when you are given 1 point and the slope, or you are given 2 points that are on your line. Okay, when we are doing this, we are always going to be writing our equations of our lines in slope intercept form. Okay, so let's review. Slope intercept form, remember, is when an equation is written in the form y equals mx plus b. And remember, when you're writing your equation in slope-intercept form, there's two things that you must know in order to do this, and that is your slope and your y-intercept. Once you have those two things, you will be able to write your equation. Okay? So whether you have 2 points or you have 1 point in the slope, these are the 3 steps that you're going to follow to write your equation. Step 1, you're going to find the slope between the 2 points, okay? If you have 1 point and the slope, you already know the slope, so that step is done for you, okay? Step 2, you're then going to choose one of your points. So here I only have 1 point, so that has to be the point I'm going to choose. If you have 2 points, just pick one of them. It doesn't matter which point you choose, okay? Step 3, you are going to then take your slope, which remember is represented by the letter m, and you're going to plug it in for m. Then you are going to take the x-coordinate of the point that you chose, and you're going to plug it in for x into your equation. Then you are going to take the y-coordinate of the point that you chose, and you're going to plug it in for the y in your equation. What will be left is the b, okay? You're going to have an equation now, but you have the variable b in there. We don't know the y-intercept yet. That's why we still have the letter b there. So what you're going to do is you're going to solve the equation that you just created for b. Once you have b, you found the y-intercept, and now you have the two important pieces that you need to write your equation. You'll have your slope, you'll have your y-intercept, and you can write your equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, let's take a look at some examples. All right, so looking at letter A, it says, step 1, find the slope between the 2 points. I know my slope. It's -3. So I'm going to go to step 2. Choose one of the points to use. I only have this 1 point. So this 4 is my x, and -1 will be my y. Plug into the formula, y equals mx plus b. Plug in what you know. Okay, so I'm going to write my formula so I know exactly where I'm going to plug things in. Do I know a y value? Yes, it's going to be -1. Do I know my slope? Yes, it's -3. Do I know an x value? Yes, 4. Do I know what b is? No. So I'm just going to write plus b. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve this equation to figure out what b is. Okay, so it's my equation. I'm going to put up my wall. I need to get b by itself. So the first thing I need to do is I'm going to simplify -3 times 4. That will give me -12. Bring everything down. All right. Remember, I'm trying to get b alone, so I have to get rid of this -12. And I'm going to do that by doing the opposite operation. I'm going to add 12 to both sides. That will disappear. What's left is my b. On the left side, -1 plus 12 will give me +11. Okay, so now I have all the pieces that I need. Okay, oops, I don't know why it keeps doing that. I have all the pieces that I need. I have my m, I have my b. So to write your equation, think y equals mx plus b. Y equals, our m is negative 3, x plus our b is 11. And that would be your final answer. Okay? All right, let's take a look at another one. Letter B. Okay, we're going to go through those same 3 steps. Find the slope between the 2 points. I already know it. Choose one point. I have only one point, so that will be the point that I must use. So I'm going to label the coordinates x and y. Plug into the formula y equals mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. I'm going to plug in what I know. Do I know my y value? Yes, it's 1. Do I know my slope? Yes, 2/3. Do I know my x? Yes, negative 3. Do I know my b? No, plus b. All right, now I'm going to solve this equation to figure out what my b is. So the first thing I want to do is simplify. 2/3 times negative 3. Put this over 1. I could reduce. I can reduce. 3 will go into 3 once. 3 will go into negative 3, negative 1 times. All right, so now I'm going to multiply across. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, and negative 1 times negative 1, 1 times 1 is 1. So really this equals negative 2 over 1, so I'm just going to write negative 2. Bring down the plus b, bring down our positive 1. Okay, I need to get b all by itself, so I'm going to get rid of that negative 2 by adding 2 to both sides, and I'm going to find out that b is positive 3. Okay, so then the last step, write your equation. Y equals 2/3 x plus 3. Okay, all right, let's look at letter C. All right, letter C looks a little bit different. All right, so we actually have to do step A in this problem. So it says find the slope between the 2 points. I don't know the slope because I only have 2 points. So remember how to find the slope between 2 points. You use your formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, you may want to jot that down at the top of your paper so you have it for your homework. Okay, so part A, I'm going to find the slope between these 2 points. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to label my points. This is the first point I'm looking at, so I'm going to call it x1, and the y coordinate I'll call y1. My second point, I'll call the x coordinate x2, and the second y coordinate y2. Okay, so I'm going to plug these values into my formula. Remember, your formula is y2 over y1, x2 minus x1. All right, so let's substitute in. Y2, we said y2 is 6, minus y1, we said y1 was negative 8. So make sure you have 6 minus negative 8. Okay, x2 is 2 minus x1, 4. Okay, let's do the math. 6 minus 8. Keep, change, change. Sorry, 6 minus negative 8. Keep, change, change. So I get 6 plus 8, which is 14. On the bottom, 2 minus 4. Keep, change, change. So think 2 plus negative 4. That will give me negative 2. So 14 divided by negative 2, that means that my m is negative 7. Okay? So step A, check. We found the slope. Step B, you're going to choose one point. It does not matter which point you choose. Now, when I look at my 2 points, I see a negative in this point. I try to stay away from negatives when possible. So I'm going to choose 2, 6 as my point that I'm going to use. All right, now that I chose a point, this is my X, this is my Y. Okay. We are then going to plug in everything we know into y equals mx plus b. Do I know my y value? Yes, I'm going to use 6. Do I know my slope? Yes. Do I know my x? Yes. Do I know my b? No, so it stays b. And I'm going to put up my wall because I'm going to solve this equation. All right, I'm going to simplify. -7 times 2, -14, bring down my plus b, equals 6. Now I have to get b by itself, so I want to get rid of the -14, and I'm going to do that by adding 14 to both sides. So 6 plus 14, I'll get 20. That will cancel out and bring your b down. Okay, now you have the second piece you need to write your equation. So we can put it all together. Y equals -7x plus 20. And there's your equation. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, letter D. So this is just like the last one. I have 2 points, so I'm going to go through all 3 steps. So step 1, I need to find the slope. So I'm going to use my formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to label my points. Let's call this x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, we're going to plug in what we know. So y2 is 5 minus y1, which is 7, over x2, which is 0, minus x1, which is minus -8. Okay, we can do the math. Up top, 5 minus 7, keep, change. So 5 plus -7 is -2. On the bottom, keep, change. 0 plus 8, I get 8. So my slope is -2 over 8. I can reduce that to -1/4. Okay. Here's my slope. All right. Now that we found the slope, we're going to choose a point. Again, I'm going to use this one because there are no negatives. I'm going to plug in what I know into y equals mx plus b. So my y is 5, my m is -1/4, my x is 0, and my b is my unknown. I'm looking for that. Okay, I'm going to simplify. -1/4 times 0 is just 0. Bring down the plus b. Well, right here, 0 plus b, that's just going to equal b. So I'm done. I found my y-intercept. Okay, and now put it all together. Y equals -1/4 x plus 5. And there's your equation. I'm going to jump back and look at this one. Some of you may have noticed a shortcut where you could have skipped the work for finding the y-intercept. Remember, your y-intercept is always the point on the line when x is 0, whatever the y value is, that's actually your y-intercept. So when you got to this point, if you noticed right away, hey, I know that's the y-intercept. I know 5 is b. You don't have to do this. You could have done part A, where you found your slope, and then just went right into writing the equation. That's perfectly fine. Okay? If you don't recognize that that's the y-intercept, then you would go through the steps to get 5 as your y-intercept. Okay? But if this question was on a test or a quiz, I would not require you to show all of this work. Okay. All right, so the last two examples, what I would like you to do is pause the video, try them on your own, and then restart the video and check your work. Okay, let's see how you did. So for letter E, all right, step A, it says to first find the slope. Well, look at that. We have the slope, so that's great. All right, now we're going to pick a point. We only have 1 point, so -2 will be our x, and 4 will be our y. We are going to plug in what we know into y equals mx plus b. I'm going to plug 4 in for my y. I'm going to plug 0 in for my slope. I'm going to plug in -2 for my x. I'm looking for my b. Let's put up our wall. We're going to simplify. 0 times -2 is 0. Bring down the plus b. Bring down our 4. Now here again, just like the last one, 0 plus b just equals b. So I know that my b is 4. Okay, when I go to write my equation now, I am going to think y equals, my slope is 0, x plus 4. Now right here, 0 times x actually equals 0. So 0 plus 4 equals 4. So you could actually say this has an equation of y equals 4. It would be a horizontal line because that slope is 0. Okay? All right, let's see how you did on letter F. Okay, so this one, I don't know the slope. So I'm going to have to find it first. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'll call this x1, y1, x2, y2. All right, I am going to plug in. I said y2 is -6 minus y1, which is -2, over x2, which is 10, minus x1, which is 2. Okay, let's do the math. -6 minus -2, keep change, change. -6 plus 2, I end up with -4. 10 minus 2, I end up with 8. And I can reduce that to -1/2. All right, now I know my slope. Okay, I'm going to choose a point. Well, they both have negatives, so it really doesn't matter. Let's go with this one. Okay, so y equals mx plus b. So my y is -2. The slope is -1/2. My x is +2. I'm looking for b. All right, I need to simplify, so I'm going to multiply -1/2 times 2. All right, so negative times a negative is a positive, and half of 2 will be 1. Bring down the -2. I need to get b by itself, so I'm going to add 1 to both sides, and I will find out that b will equal -1. All right, we can put it all together. Y equals -1/2 x minus 1 will be the final equation. All right, I hope you guys did really well in those last two. Okay, last example for the notes, and this is a word problem. Okay, I'm just going to delete my yellow circles so we can read it. All right, it says, Janelle is planning a party. The cost for 20 people is $290. The cost for 45 people is $590. Write an equation in slope intercept form to represent the cost y of having a party for x people. Okay, so it's saying the cost is y and the number of people is x. So if you think about if you were graphing this, along the y-axis, this is your cost. Along the x-axis, this is your people. Okay? We're going to come up with an equation that will represent, a line where we could use our graph to say, okay, if I had 50 people come to the party, how much would it cost? Okay? So right here, these are actually your ordered pairs. If these were points on our line, if we went over 20 and 290, let's say this is 20 and this is 290, okay, that would be a point on our line. 45, 590. So we would go over to 45, up to 590. There's a second point. Notice these are the coordinates. X is your people, Y is your cost. Okay, so to write our equation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the information that we are given and I'm going to write them as ordered pairs. So the first bit that we know is that for 20 people, it will cost $290. The second piece is that if we have 45 people, it costs $590. Now, given those two facts, we can come up with our equation, following the steps that we were in the problems up above. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to find the slope. We don't have it here, so we're going to have to use our slope formula. y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. I'm going to say x1, y1, x2, y2. All right, let's plug in what we know. So 590 minus 290 over 45 minus 20. Okay, if we do the math on this, 590 minus 290, we get 300. 45 minus 20, we get 25. And if you divide that out, the slope equals 12. Okay, now what does that mean? Remember, you're comparing y to x. So what we just found, we were comparing the cost to people. So what we just calculated was that it's going to cost $12 per person. Okay? All right, so that's our slope. That's the rate that it will be. The next thing we have to do is we have to find the y-intercept. All right, so we can pick a point. Let's do this one. And we're going to substitute in what we know. So, do I know my y? Yes, 290. Do I know my slope? Yes, 12. Do I know the x? 20. Do I know the y-intercept? No. That's what I'm going to search for. All right, I'm going to do my math. 12 times 20 is 240. Okay, get b by itself, so I'm going to subtract 240 from both sides. And b will equal 50. Okay, so now we can write our equation. Y, so that's the cost, will equal $12 per person, x is the people, plus $50. Okay, that would be your final equation. Now we wrote down for our slope that meant they were going to have to pay $12 per person. But what do we think this $50 could be? My guess, if they're throwing a party, maybe the $50, our y-intercept, the $50 is for food, cost for drinks and food. Okay, that's that one-time fee that they're going to pay. If they're having a party at a place, maybe it is the cost to rent the room. because if they're paying $12 per person, that could be the cost of food and drinks. So it doesn't tell us specifically where they're having the party, what is going on, if they're at a house, if they're at a hall. So, these things could vary. They're going to pay $12 per person, plus they have some sort of one-time fee of $50 that they're going to pay. All right. So the rest of this worksheet that I had posted is your homework. Okay. So go through, submit it with Cami. If you do print it, make sure you take a copy or take a photo and attach the copy and submit before the due date. Okay. Any questions you have, just send me an email and I can make arrangements to meet you during access or your lunch period. All right. Have a good one, guys.